Have you ever looked at your cat and felt like something was off? Maybe they started hiding more. Maybe they cry at night for no clear reason. Maybe one day they seem restless, and the next they feel completely shut down. Most people think that is just mood, or age, or attitude. But sometimes it is none of those. Sometimes your cat's behavior does not start with personality. It starts with food. What your cat eats every day can affect energy, stress response, emotional stability, and even the way their brain processes the world around them. Stay with me until the end, because the last part may completely change the way you look at your cat's food bowl. Part 1. Your cat's mood may be starting in the food bowl. Most people think food only affects a cat's body, their weight, their coat, their digestion. But food can also affect something much quieter, their mood. Cats are obligate carnivores. Their bodies, and especially their nervous systems, are designed around nutrients that come mainly from animal-based food. So when their diet is off, the first signs do not always show up physically. Sometimes they show up in behavior. Your cat seems more sensitive, more reactive, less playful, less patient, or strangely withdrawn. And that is where people often get it wrong. They assume the cat is becoming difficult, but sometimes that cat is not becoming difficult at all. They are just trying to function inside a body that no longer feels balanced. If your cat has ever had a phase where they just seemed off, comment one below. Part 2. How protein quietly shapes your cat's behavior. Let's start with protein. Protein is not just important because cats need meat. It matters because high-quality animal protein provides amino acids, the building blocks that help support brain function and neurotransmitter production. And that matters more than most people realize. Because neurotransmitters help influence how calm your cat feels, how alert they are, how they handle stress, and how emotionally stable they seem from day to day. So when the protein source is poor, unbalanced, or biologically inappropriate, the problem may not show up as illness right away. It may show up as behavior. Your cat may become more irritable, more unpredictable, less tolerant, or in some cases, suddenly clingier than usual. And that is the part that makes this easy to miss, because what looks like a personality change may actually be a biological change. Your cat cannot explain that to you. They can only act it out. And behavior is often the only language you get. If your cat has ever gone from affectionate to distant, or distant to overly attached, comment mood shift. Part 3. The hidden link between omega-3 and cat stress. Now let's go deeper. A cat's brain depends heavily on fat, especially essential fatty acids like omega-3 and omega-6. These are not just healthy extras. They help support brain health and play a role in how the nervous system handles stress. So fat is not just about calories. It is part of the chemistry behind whether your cat feels steady or overstimulated. When that support is missing, some cats do not get obviously sick right away. Instead, they become tense, easily startled, quick to react, less emotionally regulated. That is why some behavior issues begin long before owners ever think to question the diet. The aggression, the jumpiness, the sudden intolerance, the overreaction to tiny changes. People often call that bad behavior, but sometimes it is not bad behavior. It is a stressed nervous system with no buffer left. And once a cat feels chronically unsettled inside their own body, even a safe home can start to feel overwhelming. That is when the smallest things begin to trigger the biggest reactions. Part 4. The missing nutrients that can change your cat's mood. And then there is the part almost nobody talks about: micronutrients. Things like B vitamins and other key nutrients can influence stress regulation, energy balance, and mood stability. The tricky part is that those deficiencies do not always create dramatic symptoms at first. They create subtle changes. Your cat may seem flatter, less playful, more vocal, more avoidant, more easily annoyed. Nothing extreme, just different. And that is why so many owners miss it, because they are waiting for a health problem. But what shows up first is often a behavior pattern. Some calming support ingredients, like L-theanine or L-tryptophan, are also often discussed because they may help support calmer brain chemistry in some cats. That does not mean every moody cat needs a supplement. It means this: mood has biology behind it. And once you understand that, you stop seeing your cat as dramatic. You start seeing them as sensitive. You stop labeling the behavior, and you start asking what might be driving it underneath. If that changed the way you see cat behavior even a little, comment "I see it now." Part 5. The warning signs most cat owners miss. Here is where this becomes very real. When food is affecting your cat's overall balance, the warning signs often show up in behavior first. Things like more aggression, more irritability, excessive meowing, low energy, hiding, reduced appetite, and anxious or restless behavior. And one of the biggest red flags is appetite loss, because when a cat stops eating for too long, that can turn serious much faster than many people realize. So, when people say, "My cat is just being picky today," sometimes that is true, but sometimes it is the beginning of a much bigger message. Cats are incredibly good at hiding discomfort. They rarely make it obvious in the beginning. Instead, they become harder to read. And most humans are not wired to catch those small biological signals until they turn into visible behavior problems. By then, the message has often been there for a while. If your cat has ever shown one of these signs, and you later realize something deeper was going on, comment "yes." Part 6. How feeding routine affects your cat's emotional state. Now, here is the part that gives you some control. It is not just what your cat eats. It is also how they experience eating. Cats feel safer when life is predictable. That is why regular meal times can matter more than people think. A consistent feeding routine does not just help with hunger, it helps reduce uncertainty. And for a nervous system that is already sensitive, that matters. But there is another layer. Cats are hunters by design. So eating is not just about consuming food. It is also about the mental process of finding, tracking, and working for it. That is why puzzle feeders, food games, and hiding treats around the house can help so much. They activate focus, instinct, mental stimulation, and that feeling of completion your cat was built for. In other words, they do not just fill the stomach, they satisfy the brain. Hydration matters too. Moisture-rich food can support overall well-being, and many cats simply feel better when their bodies are under less internal stress. So the goal is not just to feed your cat, it is to create a feeding experience that makes their body feel safer and their mind feel calmer. This is why this topic matters so much. You can love your cat deeply and still miss one of the quietest causes of their behavior. Not because you do not care, but because no one told you that food can affect mood this much. So if your cat has seemed more distant, more reactive, more anxious, or just unlike themselves lately, do not only ask what is wrong with their attitude, ask something deeper. What is their body missing? What is their nervous system struggling with? What is their behavior trying to say that words never could? Because sometimes the saddest misunderstanding between cats and humans is this: we think they are becoming difficult, when really, they may just be adapting to discomfort in silence. And once you understand that, feeding your cat stops being just a routine. It becomes part of how you protect their emotional well-being. If your cat has ever gone through a strange mood change, comment one below. If you have ever noticed your cat acts different after changing food, comment "food matters." And if you want part 2 on the foods and feeding mistakes that may quietly increase stress in cats, comment part 2.